Okay, seems to be working, so let's go live. Going live. You're live! Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Watch Dogs Legion on the GTX 1050 Ti, 750 Ti, RX 570, RX 580, and GTX 1650 Super. How are you guys doing? Thank you to Ubisoft for providing a copy of the game, so I'm able to play it one day earlier. The game releases tomorrow, if you didn't know. So thank you for joining me. How are you guys doing? Good seeing you. So let's take a look at the options menu. Now that we're here, we're going to start with the GTX 1050 Ti as usual. Then we're going to swap to the 750 Ti to do a quick test. Then the 570, then the 580, and then the 1650 Super. So we're going to start with 1080p medium settings with DX11. We're going to try DirectX 12 on the open world locations, since the first part is more of a corridor part. So how are you guys doing? Good to see you. Hola, ¿cómo andan? ¿Todo bien? So yeah guys, we're going to be using medium settings with DX11, then we're going to try DX12. I saw a lot of VRAM usage, so I think that's super important. But yeah, we got a lot of options in this menu. The most important ones for the very few minutes I was able to play were shadows, reflections, ambient occlusion, geometry, and environment. Those were the important ones. Then the other ones weren't that big of a difference. So yeah, let's get straight down here. Also we have TAA or SMAA. We're going to be using TAA. It usually looks softer. And there's also a ray tracing option that requires DX12, DLSS, extra details, which I wouldn't touch. And the temporal upscaling, which is that you can lower the resolution to improve the frame rate. So yeah, with these settings, medium settings on 1080p, we're going to start. So wish me luck, guys. We're going to start from scratch. ¿Cuánto pesa el juego? Fue una descarga de, creo, de 61 GB o 31 GB, no me acuerdo, pero no llega a los 100 GB ni de casualidad la descarga. What happens if you go above the VRAM in this game? If you're using DX12, it's a massive performance hit if you go over the VRAM usage. On DX11, not so much, but DX11 uses less video memory, so we are okay on that front, at least. That's what I wanted to first show you DX11, and then in the open world we can do DX12, different options in the menu, all that good stuff. So yeah, the Ryzen 3 3100 is not similar to the 9100F. The 9100F is only 4 cores and 4 threads, so it's not the same, it's different. But it should be playable. I mean, just don't expect 60 frames per second on DX11. On DX12, if you have a good enough GPU, it should be okay. But on DX11 it's very difficult. I'm going to talk more about that later. But I played a little bit of the game, trying the new APIs and all that. And it was interesting. First time in your live streams? Well, thank you for joining me. The game is still loading, so sorry about the delay. It's installed on an SSD, but it's taking a little bit too long. I'm going to skip all the cutscenes because they are locked at 30. And thanks to Ubisoft for providing a copy of the game, once again. We're going to skip all the cutscenes that the developers worked very hard on. Remember, this is not the open world yet, that's why the game runs so well. So yeah, this part is going to run fantastically well. But once we go outside, it's going to be pretty demanding. But yeah, this part runs fantastically well. So yeah, let's keep going. Sup? How's it going, guys? Good seeing you. Okay, just like the previous Watch Dogs games, you gotta find a way to open that lock. I screwed up the what's the name of this? The stealth section. But I do like the combat so far. The little I played about it, I'm enjoying the combat. He's done. This game needs AVX. I'm not sure, but probably. considering the latest Ubisoft games use it. I'm pretty sure it requires AVX, but most CPUs nowadays have it, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. One thing I do recommend if you don't have a good enough CPU is to use the DX11 mode. DX12 uses way less CPU, but on the GPU side it's pretty taxing, so I'm going to be talking more about that later. But yeah. ¿Cuál tarjeta crees que es mejor? No puedo leer tu comentario anterior. Yeah, and the city is probably going to be 30 frames or 25, so I'm trying to get to the more open location. Oh, I can do noise with the cameras now. Interesting. Anyways, let's take him down. Whoa, the CamV425, thank you so much for the generous $20 donation. Thanks for the coverage, he says. Well, thank you for donating. I wasn't expecting you again here. Thank you so much, man, for helping me keep doing these live streams. How are you doing? I almost screwed up there. The donation distracted me. Thank you so much, the CamV425, for the generous donation. Hopefully we can make the game run well once we're in the open location. But yeah, whoa. You can also dodge now in this game, which wasn't present in the previous one, as far as I know. Let's analyze this. But yeah, at the moment in this part is running fine, because again, this is not the open location. Alright, got him. Let's run. Run. Thank you, Mystery Boy. It's not needed, but it's highly appreciated if you do. If you don't, it's also appreciated, just for being here. ¿Ya probaste la 570? No, recién arranco. Después de esta va la 750 Ti y después la 570. Some people are asking about the RX 570. Well, the 570 will be coming after the 750 Ti. The 750 Ti is coming after this one, so it shouldn't take too long, I promise. It will be fast. I want to get to the city, and after we get to the city, it will be super quick. We're going to be swapping GPUs, testing other APIs. It will be fun. It's always fun to test a new game and see how to make it run properly. Alright, skip the cutscene. Finally, I have a gun. Okay, the aiming feels better than Watch Dogs 2. I can tell you as much.
Now wading through terabytes of decoy code looking for the detonation sequence. Bagley, update. Let's just say I'm both impressed and annoyed.
Let's use the MP5.
Security is still working.
Yeah, the shooting so far feels better than on the previous game, but I'm seeing some stutter, probably product of the DX11 option I selected. On DX12 this didn't happen the first time I tried it. But we're going to know more once I start testing DX12, more in depth. Of course, one thing I forgot to mention about these stutters, if you have a slower CPU than this one, it's not going to be as smooth. It's going to be more stuttery on a quad-core CPU without hyper-threading. But again, that's what DX12 is here for, I guess. So yeah. Rest in peace. Why? I'm still here. Okay, time to continue. Let's just skip all this. You have a 1650 Super and waiting for the benchmark. Well, in around an hour it should be there. So no worries. Should be here quick. Please, some ammo. Thank you very much. B to scan the area. Okay. Whoa. Okay, the CPU is maxed out. Now it's fine. It seems to be loading something. Alright. The VRAM we're still fine at 3 GB. We still have 1 GB free. And the system RAM usage is below 8 GB, so good. Right now in this close location we are fine. Is 4 GB of VRAM enough? Whoa, I wasn't paying attention. 4 GB of VRAM enough for high textures? If you're playing on 1080p on DX12, probably not, which is unfortunate. But as long as it's on medium textures, it should look decent enough. From medium textures to high, I didn't see a huge difference on the visual standpoint. Yes, you are. Yeah, those stutters are super annoying, probably due to DX11. Anyways, once we get to open world, we're going to swap to DX12 right away. But yeah. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué tal anda la optimización? Recién arranqué, así que no sabría decirte. Estoy tratando de llegar al parte de mundo abierto. Pero por ahora va bastante bien. Medios arriba a 30 FPS. Ok. Go RX 570. Yeah, RX 570 after the 750 Ti. It will be very quick, don't worry. It won't take long. You like those wireless monitors in games? What do you mean? Alright, we're now at 30 frames per second. Still not below 30, so good. I was expecting low settings 30 frames per second, so this is a surprise. Also, one other thing, the RAM usage is now over 8 GB, so make sure to have more than 8 GB of system RAM on dual channel for this to work as intended. I mean, we're still not in the open world and it's already using more than 8 GB, so things to keep in mind. i7 4780K will have high usage at this game. It should be similar to what you see here. I would expect similar numbers to what I showed you today, so don't worry, the 4790K should still be enough. How are you? I'm doing fine, thanks. How about you guys? How are you guys doing on this beautiful Wednesday? Can I run this game on 1050 Ti? Well, that's what I'm doing today, so you probably can, yeah. It's funny, Ubisoft provided a copy and I'm doing the 1050 Ti first, showing the game in its best way on the 1050 Ti. Yeah, at the moment it's running fine, we'll see once we get to the open world. But yeah, as of right now, it seems to be okay. Let's hack it with a button. And we skip the cutscene. While testing games, what's the average temp? 1 second, I'm gonna select my character. These characters are so weird. I mean, the poly count is not particularly good. But I mean, if you're doing random characters, it kind of makes sense that they didn't put a lot of detail into them. Let's see, drone summon. Yeah, I want the MP5, so... Oh, there's a motorcycle here. Yeah, let's get the one with the pistol. Yes, let's grab that one. There's no spy lady, old lady thing here. So let's select the most random guy with a pistol. Your country's in fire? Well, sorry to hear that, man. Hopefully the fire gets put out soon. Alright, we are now in the open world. Beautiful. The CPU is maxed out. Not unexpected. Okay, it's stabilizing now. We're at 30 frames. We dropped to 28 there for a second. Okay. Open world. We're here.
Glad to see you're alive. If you're still committed to the cause.
Okay. Come on, CPU, you can do this.
Meet me there.
Let's see if it loads the assets. Yeah, the frame time is kind of crazy right now. Yeah, the CPU is it was completely maxed out a second ago. Now it seems to be better. But when I move the camera, it gets into the 80s. The CPU usage. Let's drive a little bit. And see how it goes. Okay. Yeah, what I'm seeing is when I'm driving around, the CPU gets maxed out. This gives me Watch Dogs 2 memories, but not the good ones. I have the memories of stutter in Watch Dogs 2. but at least it's at 30 frames. We're going to try DX12 to see if the CPU usage gets fixed, because yeah, this is not good due to the frame times. The frame times are inconsistent. Let's try DX12. We're going to have to restart the game, but at least we can give that a try, because the CPU is basically maxed out very often. So we change to DX12 with medium preset. So 1 second, guys. Almost back. Gotta reload the game to change DX12. Yeah, I mean, it could be worse, but I guess this is why they use a DX12 implementation. Other than RTX, it should use less CPU. That's what my experience was in the first 10 minutes of the game. Yeah, Mafia Remake had the same stutter issue, yeah, but Mafia Remake, what's the name of this? Wasn't maxing out this CPU, so that's a big difference to take about. Alright, so now we are on DX12. On the same settings, medium settings, 1080p. So let's go back into the part we were just now. Let's see if the stutter gets fixed. Hopefully it does, but hey, we'll see. DX12 almost always helps in these situations. Yeah, that's why I'm excited about the new Assassin's Creed as well. They're going to have a DX12 option, as far as I know. So Assassin's Creed usually had tons of issues on the CPU side. So it would be good to see if they address that with DX12 on the next one. Same happened with Watch Dogs 2. So good to see that they finally implemented DX12 on their games. Hopefully for the better on the CPU side. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, on the X11 it's probably going to get more FPS on the 1050 Ti, but the CPU usage will be significantly higher. That's my first impressions kind of thing. We're going to see once it loads. It's taking so long to load. It's installed on SSD, so I'm kind of lost on that one. But yeah, they changed Uplay in Ubisoft Connect. Yeah, now it's called Ubisoft Connect, but it seems almost the same as Uplay. The interface was changed a little bit, but it feels basically the same, which is a good thing. If it ain't broke, do not fix it, like they say. So yeah. Almost there, guys. Come on, game. You can do this. You can do this, game. Come on. But yeah, it takes quite a bit of time to load, unfortunately. We're almost there. But yeah. In the meantime, I'll read chat. Ha! You finally catch my live stream. Awesome, man. Good to see. Good to see that you were able to find me this time around. Holy hell, 500 people are watching. Well, hello everyone. I'm Santiago and welcome to this live stream. Okay, we're now back into the game. We were using DX11 and the CPU was completely maxed out at times, and the frame time was pretty terrible. Now on DX12 on the same settings, yeah, the CPU usage is fine, is below 50%. And when I move the camera, I have no stutter whatsoever. So good call, Ubisoft, for putting DX12 in this game. What I'm noticing though is a frame rate hit. We went into the 40s, now we're into the 30s. But yeah, I mean, also more system RAM usage. We're almost at 9 gigabytes. But yeah, seems to be okay. Good. So DX12 is recommended, especially if you only have 4 cores or less. If you have more than 4 cores, consider DX11 for the performance uplift. But yeah, seems okay. Oh, I killed someone. I'm so sorry. Yeah, the driving feels very similar to Watch Dogs 2, not in a good way. Let's try to get to a place with water. Sometimes in Watch Dogs 1 and 2, when I looked into the water, my frame rate tanked like crazy, so it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, the immortality of this card is impressive. I mean, this is medium settings on 1080p. And the game still looks good, considering its medium settings. Still some drops into the 20s at times, but yeah, seems to be fine. Oh, there's motion blur in place, so probably if I disable motion blur, it's going to be better. speak Spanish, hablo español. Okay, when I'm closer to the trees, I'm dropping into the 28, 27. Okay, this is more demanding now. Yeah, just like Watch Dogs 2, when we are close to the trees or foliage, it drops into the upper 20s. Okay, let's see the water. Like I told you before, close to water at times it destroys my frame rates. Okay, it does just like Watch Dogs 2. When I look at water, I lose like 5 frames per second. Not sure if this is an issue with the engine or what, but when I get a little far away from the water, I already go back up into the 30s. But when I look into the water from this distance, I drop into the mid-20s. Super weird stuff. It happened before in the other games, so weirdly enough they didn't fix it. I don't know. But that's the only issue so far. When I'm close to many trees and grass, I drop into the upper 20s. When I look at water at this distance, I'm in the mid-20s. Let's try lowering it to low. Yeah, I'm going to disable motion blur. Yeah, let's disable that. Okay, in the water we're still bad, but close to the trees without motion blur we're okay. So the only issue so far is looking at water. As weird as it sounds, looking at water is the issue. Let's see if we can fix that by using the low preset. So we're going to drop to low, and we keep the textures on medium so we don't have to restart the game. So this is the low preset. We're still at 25 FPS, so we earned 1 FPS for going to low settings here. But if we go into the trees here, yeah, from medium to low there doesn't seem to be a huge performance difference. Seems to be basically the same. Let's very quickly try high settings. Let's see if at least we get something. On high settings, yeah, high settings were below 30. So no, high settings doesn't seem to cut it. So consider medium settings 1080p for this one. Medium settings, medium textures, and no motion blur. And that should be fine to get 30 frames per second in most scenarios. But then if you look at water, well, you're in for a bad time. So let's try very quickly DX11 to see if this is fixed, the thing of the water. So we're going to swap to DX11 and try it again. So we restart the game and try DX11. But yeah, very unfortunate, the thing with the water. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it has to do with DX11 and 12, and maybe not. Who knows? So this is DX11 again. And after that, I promise we're going to test more resolutions. But yeah. Anyways, so very quickly, once again, DX11. Yeah, in that case, the CPU wasn't the bottleneck, it was the GPU. But for some reason, just looking at water destroyed my performance. Let's see if on DX11 that's the case as well. Yeah, we're going to try 720p as well, but first I wanted to do DX11 because I want to make sure that that's not the definitive factor. The thing with DX11 is the stutter. The stutter is unacceptable on DX11, so alright. Yes, as you can see on DX11, when first loading the game, the CPU is completely maxed out and we get a lot of stutter, so the frame time is worse, much worse. So that sucks. This reminds me of the previous games in the franchise. But let's look at the water. Let's see if that still happens with DX11 or not. Alright, we're back into the same place. As you could see, just by launching the game on DX11, I already got a lot of stutter. It's stabilizing, but it takes time. Let's look at the water now. Okay. Alright, so on DX11 we don't have the water issue. As you can see, we're at 33 instead of 25. So yeah, that's not a good thing on DX12. As you could see on DX12 we were into the mid-20s here. But on DX11 we're into the mid-30s no matter what. So yeah, definitely we should take a look at that. But already the CPU performance tells me do not use DX11. Okay, now the CPU though is in the 50s. What a weird thing. Now the frame times are okay. Now that the game loaded, it seems to be fine. Let's see. Yeah, when I start doing mayhem, the frame times go crazy. Yeah, the frame times are not consistent on DX11, but you don't have the water issue, so you gotta see what matters to you the most, I think. Yeah. Anyways, let's do DX11, DX12, and lower the settings, like most people will do. We're going to stay on DX12 because the DX11 performance, I mean, the frame times are super inconsistent. Most people wouldn't play like that. So yeah, for the sake of your CPU, use DX12 on this one. But yeah, did you watch the AMD presentation? Yes, I did, outside of on my house. That's why I didn't live stream it. It was nice, pretty good. Let's see what the benchmarks say, the official benchmarks, the third-party benchmarks. Those will be interesting. But yeah, do you think this game is optimized? Really, considering the visuals, I think it should run better. But already the water thing on the DX12 is super weird. I mean, what the heck? Everything is at 30, but when I look at the water, it's like 25. That kind of pisses me off. So yeah, se la rebanca de 50 Ti. Sí, sabelo. Ajustes medios 1080p. Va para ahí. ¿Ya probaste la 580? No, esta es la primera. Esta es la primera gráfica. We're going to test more graphics cards, so guys, be patient. I'm trying to figure out the water thing. It's super weird. Okay, so now as you can see on DX12, we do not have the huge stutters like we have on DX11 when we started. And we also do not have the huge drops in the frame rate when moving fast through the map. But let's look at the water now that we're here. Let's take a look at that. So we're going to go straight into the water like before. Let's see if it drops into the mid-20s again. The temperature is below 70 on this one. Okay, so water. Yeah, again 24 FPS, same spot. Let's see if we can fix that by lowering what somebody told me, the bloom. They told me the bloom made a difference. I do not believe you, but hey, let's try it. Still 24. And once more, let's try low settings. So everything on low except in textures. Let's disable TAA as well. And this is low settings. So this is the low preset. So on the low preset, on the water, we're still okay. We jump into 26 FPS. So yeah, the only issue I'm seeing with DX12 is the this one looking at water. It gets kind of crazy. So yeah, my best settings so far for what I played are medium settings, medium textures, no motion blur, basically like this on the DX12. And on display, we are using 1080p, no VSync. So in the water, we get 23 FPS, which kind of sucks. But in the rest of the game, seems to be like 30 frames. Something like that. That will be my best settings. Medium settings, 1080p. So let's call this medium. Mid preset. Let's try and tweak the. This is medium. Okay, now this is medium. Medium textures, no headlight shadows. Reflections, let's keep that on medium. No motion blur. Let's disable bloom because someone told me, and I saw a difference, a small one. So yeah, this is basically medium settings on DX12, TAA and low subsurface scattering. No ray tracing because of course we don't have an RTX card. And the temporal upscaling, this is the You can lower your native resolution using TAA, similar to the Rainbow Six Siege TAA option. So we're going to try first with 100%. It says 1080p, so this is native 1080p on the medium preset. And as you can see, over 30 in this place. But the issue again is this water place. When looking at water at this distance, for some reason on DX12 doesn't like it. So we're going to try and lower the resolution a little bit using this thing over here. Let's try 1024p. Let's see if that fixes the issue. Okay, it improved. It improved significantly from 24 to 27. But again, it's okay. It doesn't look that different despite the lower resolution. But yeah, you probably want to play with this if you want to have over 30 all the time on 1080p. So let's show you the settings very quick so I can put it as a timestamp. 1080p, medium preset with medium textures, no headlight shadows, medium reflections, motion blur disabled, bloom disabled as well. I mean, the occlusion we keep it on because it makes the game look less flat, to say it in some way. TAA, because if not the game looks super aliased. And this on low. Then the rest of the options basically on the default settings. And on the image we keep it all like it is here. You have a sharpness slider for your TAA. Let's put it on 10% just to have a little more sharpness there. But yeah, those are my best settings for 1080p. Let's play a little bit with this. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, just remember the water here is going to wreck your frame rates on DX12. Other than that, it should be fine. I shot him in the head. Kill him, for Christ's sakes. Yeah, let's go do the mission. And after that, we're going to try 900p and 720p. What the heck? Yeah, I'll let them kill me so I can go to the mission without any interruptions. But yeah, when is RX 570? RX 570 will come after the 750 Ti. It's going to be very quickly. But yeah, the game, considering the visuals, I don't like the performance. Yeah, you know what, guys? I think it's better to first see the frame rates in the worst case scenario on all the resolutions. Then I play a little bit with this card. And then we change graphics cards. That would be better. It will be faster for you to see the RX 570 and the other cards. Now it seems to be fine on the water. Maybe because it's not daytime. I don't know. What a weird thing. The water issue is gone now. Maybe because it's not daytime. Okay. Weird stuff. Let's do 900p now. So I can show you more graphics cards. So we swap to 900p now. We're going to try high settings first. So this is 900p high settings. 1 second, guys. Gotta change my my keyboard. Jesus Christ, this is getting annoying. Alright, so this is 900p and it will be on a high preset with medium textures. So in the video options we got 900p and we're changing the preset to high and keep the textures on medium without motion blur, because why would you? And let's go back into the game. So you can see the frame rate. I'm adjusting the thing. So let's see if the settings applied. Yes, they did. So this is high preset 900p. We're looking at water. We're into the 20s again, like on 1080. But let's see once we drive around and stuff. Okay, 900p high seems to be okay at the moment. There are even shadows from these lamps. Interesting. So okay, 900p seems to be the sweet spot. I would say these are the best settings for this card. 900p high settings on the 1050 Ti. We're over 30 when driving and close to trees. And then in the water it gets all kinda effed up. But hey, on 1080p it happens as well. But this seems to be the best balance. Yeah, let's see. I'm just looking at water to make it drop. So yeah, it still happens. What the heck, water? Let's keep driving. Yeah, I mean, motion blur disabled made the game look better, at least in my opinion. It doesn't look all blurred out. But yeah, even with the amount of shadows from the headlights, from the street lights, it seems to still be fine. So I will say the performance is decent. I was expecting much worse, to be honest, but I was also expecting better visuals. That's maybe because we saw a lot of RTX 4K footage on the trailers. But yeah, it doesn't look that great considering the performance, I would say. But at least we get over 30 frames, so I'm okay with that. Also, the system RAM usage is over 8 gigabytes. So yeah, anyways. So yeah, these are my best settings by a long shot. Let's get a better car now. Oh yeah, there are not even shadows here, which is kind of interesting. Interesting decision. Oh yeah, finally a good car. Alright, yeah, the water issue is here. Yeah, you cannot avoid it, unfortunately. It seems to be something to do with DX12. I'm going to report this to Ubisoft right away after I'm done with livestream. Oh no. My good car is gone. Why? I had to pay attention. Yeah, this should be out at midnight. I'm not sure exactly because I got the game early, but yeah. Should be out super soon. Anyways, yeah, I destroyed the car. My bad. Let's try lowering the settings now. Now that we have the best settings, let's try if we can get closer to 60. So we're going to try the low preset very quickly. Oh, let's cancel this. Let's put it on low with medium textures and we apply the changes. So this is low preset on 900p. And as you can see, the low preset, we jump from 35 to 48, 46. Yeah, not a huge jump. We jump like 5 to 8 FPS more. So I don't think it's worth it to go into low settings. You're not going to get 30 frames, not anytime soon, at least not on 900p. So yeah. Yeah, can't wait for the 750 Ti. It's going to be probably low settings, 720p 30 frames. But if that's the way, if I get 720p 30 frames on the 750 Ti, I'm going to be super shocked. But yeah, I'm trying to get killed, so I get on to daytime. Come on, kill me. Thank you. But yeah, after this one we're doing the 750 Ti and we're going to brace for impact. But yeah, we're not getting 60s anytime soon, not even on 900p, and not even looking at water. So yeah, when you look at water, yeah, the performance hit is kind of ridiculous at times. So let's go now to 720p. Let's see if we can get 60s at 720p low settings. But yeah, I was expecting better from the visuals at least. So yeah, this is 720p low settings, medium textures. So we're going to change the status from 900p to 720. Whoa. My keyboard doesn't work today. There we go, 720p on low settings. Let's see if we can get at least 60s. Yeah, we're getting 50s. Okay, better than nothing. That's one thing I wanted to tell you about DX11 and 12. On DX11, it was impossible to get 50 FPS. The CPU was maxed out. So if you're aiming for 60s, do not try DX11. But yeah, even on DX12, the CPU doesn't seem to be enough. Whoa, I have to pay attention instead of looking at frame rates. But yeah, as you can see, we are into the 50s, but when we're moving around, the GPU usage is not maxed out, as you can see. The GPU is below 90% and we drop below 50 frames, so we are CPU bound. So despite this being DX12 and not maxing out our CPU, it's still dropping frames. So they need to work that out. Yeah, we're not getting 60s with this CPU, which is unfortunate. We're now getting the GPU maxed out, probably the water issue. But yeah, let's try cranking up the settings now that we're here. But yeah, it runs pretty bad. We're not getting 60s even by lowering the settings to the lowest at 720p. Let's go now to... let's do very high settings with medium textures. That should be good enough for 720p. So this is very high preset with medium textures at 720p. So that's how it goes. And let's see if we can maintain over 30 frames per second at the very least. Okay, we're over 30 frames. The reflections and shadows look better. Oh, I have motion blur enabled. Sorry about that, guys. So on the very high preset, no motion blur. Alright. Yeah, my CPU is a Ryzen 3 3100. Jesus, my pronunciation. So if you have a 3300X, for example, expect to be closer to 60. A 3600 should also be closer to 60. Something like that. Then if you have a quad-core CPU, do not expect 60s anytime soon on a usual quad-core CPU, 4 cores, 4 threads. But yeah, 720p, very high settings with medium textures, seems to be fine. I will probably play on 900p medium settings, if I had to choose. Let's just shoot around to see if we can get to daytime, but yeah. Is it driving better than in previous parts? It's super similar to Watch Dogs 2 in the driving. The driving is not a lot better. I would say it's almost the same. It's a little bit easier to control with mouse and keyboard, but the driving is, I would say, almost the same. It feels floaty, to say it in a way. So yeah. What about a Ryzen 3 1200? A 1200 should be enough for 30 frames per second, so I would lock the game to 30. Considering the things I saw here, use DX12 and lock it to 30. That's how you get the best numbers, I would say. But yeah. Adversary neutralized. Okay. I just shoot him in the head. But yeah, as you can see, even here at 720p, we're below 60. And on 720p low settings, we were nowhere close to 60s, even when doing nothing. So that's a disappointment. I was expecting to at least be able to force 60 frames by using the lowest settings at the lowest resolution possible. But that doesn't seem to be possible. We are CPU bound even on DX12, which is made to not be CPU bound, I would say. So yeah, pretty disappointed on that front. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to show you very quickly the best settings, which is 900p. And we're going to swap to the 750 Ti. LiveStream RX 5700 XT, yeah. I mean, yeah, do it. That's how you do it. Anyways, so the best settings for this card, at least opinions, is 900p. Let me change the text so you can understand what I'm talking about. So it's 900p, medium textures, DX12 high preset. That will be my best settings for the 750 Ti on this game. So 900p, we apply the settings. So 900p, DX12, because DX11 maxes out your CPU, so a lot of stutter. Graphics quality, put it on high. So we put textures on medium here. Textures on medium looks decent. Then down here on motion blur, disable it. Personal preference. If you want to keep it, but it looks super blurry, which is what it's intended. Basically like this. Then the rest, just disable it. If you want a small FPS boost, lower the temporal upscale in like 10%. But yeah, you're not getting 60s anytime soon. This is the best settings to get 30 frames per second with decent visuals. An adversary. Okay, got him. Okay, with some smoke on screen, plus... Okay, some shooty. Yeah, we're still over 30. Okay, fair enough. That's what I'm trying to do. No, I'm not reading chat because I'm trying to pay attention and the chat is super quick. There's 600 people watching. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to keep up with chat, but it's difficult. No, nothing is overclocked. Keep that in mind. No overclock. This is all stock settings. But yeah, these are the best settings. Estos son los mejores ajustes en mi opinión para esta gráfica. 900p alto con texturas en medio. 900p high settings, medium textures. These are my best settings for this graphics card. We're doing the 570 after the 750 Ti. The 750 Ti will be super quick, so be patient. I'll be there very soon. But yeah, this has decent shadows, decent reflections. The water still has an issue, but yeah. Si estoy re psicópata matando gente, sabelo, Juan. Sabelo. Let's see the water before we finish. Let's see if the water issue is still going on, the DX12 water thing. Okay, yeah, still here. When you're close to water, you drop into the mid-20s. So yeah, that's the biggest issue, I would say, so far. Which doesn't happen on DX11, but on DX11 you get a lot of stutter, so I'd rather have 27 FPS when looking at this part of the water than having stutter, so personal preference, you know. So yeah, let's now do the 750 Ti, so we're going to swap to my room view. So 1 second, guys. So this is my room, as you can see. I blurred the background so you guys do not see the mess behind me. Excellent. So let's swap graphics cards. That's what I'm going to do right now. So 1 second, guys. So I close the game. In the meantime, make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to be testing this game tomorrow as well, but on the usual videos, which is normal testing. I'll be doing a video on multiple resolutions, telling you what to lower, what to not lower, why select DX12 over DX11, which CPU you should be using, all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow I'll be doing even the 2060. So the PC is now off. 1 second, guys. So here's the 1050 Ti we just tested in all its glory. Let's now put the 750 Ti to do 720p low settings super quickly. After this one, we're doing the 570. Almost there. I'm plugging in the HDMI. It's kind of hard without seeing the port itself. Alright, the card is in. Almost there. But yeah, I'm doing the 750 Ti now. After that, we're doing the 570. I have the 570 right here. The Aorus 570. So after this card is done, we're doing the 570. Super quick. It's going to be 720p low settings probably. So do not worry. Have you guys looked at how the character is written? The animation is so bad. Yeah, I mean, the animation, not super good. On the combat, the animation is good. I like the combat animations for the takedowns and all that. But then the running feels super generic, which I think it kind of makes sense considering the game is going to have multiple characters all the time. That's probably why they didn't go the extra mile with the animations. But still, it's a game on 2020, so so yeah. Anyways, we are now back into the PC. We remove the background. This is the 750 Ti, as you can probably read over there. We're going to be doing on this one 720p right away. On the medium preset. Nah, let's do low preset. On DX12, so we don't have the issue with what's the name of this? With the stutter. So let's launch the game now, which is it's not here. Hang on. I gotta go to Ubisoft Connect. Almost there. All right, I'm in. Come on. Full screen, here you are. We're getting into the game now. Soy de Uruguay. Vamos a hacer ahora las 750 Ti, después hacemos las 570, así que paciencia. I was saying in Spanish again, we're gonna be doing the 750 Ti, then the 570, then the 580, then the 1650 Super. So we got, for everyone's tastes, a graphics card for everyone, excepting the higher end stuff. The higher end people is kinda... Sí, la 750, the 750 Ti, yeah. The legendary graphics card. Yeah, I'm going to try overclocking it if it doesn't reach 30 frames per second. Whoa, my capture card got effed up. Oh no. There we go. Yeah, the capture card died for a second. That's not looking good for the 750 Ti. The RTX, I have to finish the live stream to test the RTX, so we'll see. So we're going to start with 720p. So we're at 720 now. And the graphics options, we're going to do low settings. Yeah, the texture resolution, we have to go to the lowest. So yeah, everything on the minimum except in the texture filtering. And let's put TAA just to have some extra softness to the image. So yeah, this is low settings 720p. Let's see how it goes. If this doesn't work fine, we're going to try an overclock, and if that doesn't work, we're going to try DX11, which is going to probably suffer a lot on the CPU side. But yeah, hopefully we get 30 frames per second with the lowest settings. We'll see. I like graphics cards from both brands. It all depends on pricing really, but yeah, I like both. At the moment, I'm liking the 570 and the 580 considering the pricing, but yeah. Con la 2070 lo podré correr al máximo a 90 FPS, depende del CPU. Usa mucho procesador y no lo aprovecha al máximo ni en DirectX 12, así que 90 sería difícil. A menos que tengas algo más rápido que un Ryzen 5 3600. Ready for the cinematic 24 FPS? Yes, please. Please, please, please. I mean, we have to keep in mind that we only have 2 GB of video memory, so the textures will look terrible, but that was to be expected. Also, thanks to Ubisoft for providing a copy of the game, despite me showing it in its worst possible state. But yeah, let's see. Once this finishes loading, it takes a while the first time you launch the game on a new graphics card, so thank you for your patience, guys. ¿Qué edad tengo? Tengo 24. Voy a cumplir 25 ahora el mes que viene. Gracias, Tuzuna. Se agradece. Smoke is 100. Yeah, I do like the smoke mask. What's in the canister? I like both AMD and Nvidia cards. I want both to keep one-upping each other because it has benefits for consumers. Yeah, you got it right. That's exactly how it should be. They should be competing so we get the best pricing possible. That's why I like Intel getting in the GPU market. It's going to make better prices on both Nvidia and AMD. But yeah, brace for impact. Tell me when it's over. ¿Qué opinas de la RX 5600? Si está más barato que una 2060 Super, iría por la 5600, sin dudas. 1650 Super Ultra 1080p 40 FPS? Probably not, considering it only has 4 GB of memory. We'll see. It's taking too long because it's the first time I load it on this graphics card. The first time you load the game on DX12 with the new card, it's going to take a while, but it's almost there. Come on, show me those 20 frames. Alright, so 720p low settings. We're over 30 right now, so yeah, nice. Let's see, the water issue is probably going to be here, but I'm impressed. The 750 Ti is still alive. Still didn't die, the dream is not over yet. The dream is not over. I cannot believe this. Yeah, even looking at water, it's okay. Nice. So guys, you now know, if you want to be over 30 frames on the 750 Ti, 720p, lowest settings, lowest textures, but you can use TAA. So yeah, I mean, over 30 frames. Perfect. Even close to the water is over 30, so I'm surprised. I was expecting so much worse than this. Okay, now it's into the 20s, okay. Yeah, but not for long. Hopefully once they kill me I start up in daytime again. But I mean, yeah, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. The dream's still going. We can still do 720p, legendary GPU. I mean, you probably spent $150 in 2014 for this card. Yeah, still nighttime. That is super disappointing. So yeah, let's do the RX 570 now that we know that it runs. I mean, it even has shadows here. Yeah, maybe let's try and see if we can go to daytime. Because this is pissing me off. I need to be on daytime to test the frame rate in a better way. So let's get there as soon as possible. But yeah, still over 30. We seem to be okay. I will probably do an overclock. Let's do an overclock now that we're here. Medium settings, I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm going to try... Yeah, let's do medium, but I'm going to see the... What's the name of this? The textures. Let's keep it on the lowest. Yeah, already we're over the VRAM usage. Okay, on medium we're still at 30, but we're going to probably drop when close to the water. So yeah, maybe consider medium without motion blur. So this is 720p medium with low textures. Lowest textures, and we're going to do an overclock. So let me very quickly see how it goes like this. Okay, 30, probably going to drop into the upper 20s. Yeah, like you see here. So do not use medium without an overclock on your GPU. Let's overclock it. Let's do this correctly. So we go into MSI Afterburner. And we add 200 MHz to the core and 400 MHz to the video memory. So the 750 Ti can at least breathe with medium settings. So we added 200 MHz to the core and 400 MHz to the VRAM. So this is 750 Ti overclocked. And we go back into the game now. It's probably going to be over 30 all the time now. Most intensive settings for CPU, probably the geometry and environment options. Yeah, as you can see now, instead of the 28, 29 FPS, we're getting over 30. Still some drops here and there. I'll probably go for low settings on this card. But yeah. If you overclock it, you can do medium settings over 30. So yeah, pretty surprised, considering the numbers on the 1050 Ti. ¿Cuándo haré un video del panel de control de Nvidia explicado? Es que no hay mucho que hacer en un video de esos. No hay mucho que puedas cambiar para mejorar el rendimiento. Si no, ya lo habría hecho.
I've downloaded a patch to your optics so you can access our security system.
Alright, let's
It's
go.
set up so that I can't just let someone who isn't dead.
Oh, I have to bypass the puzzle. Oh, there's a puzzle. This is so stupid. In Watch Dogs 2 and Watch Dogs 1, I hated these sections. I mean, imagine being a hacker if it was doing a puzzle and connecting a circuit. That's funny. This GPU will never die. Well, it's been 6 years, so I'm pretty surprised that it can still run a new game. I mean, this GPU is not even the minimum requirements.
Anyone around? Guess not.
So yeah,
Power then.
let's turn this on. Yeah, still kicking butt, kicking booty. Alright, hopefully here I can wait for daytime. You maybe cannot see it, but the textures are super muddy, which is to be expected. We only have 2 GB of VRAM, but keep that in mind. A lot of textures are super low resolution. So yeah, did you get your hands on the 3300X? Can't seem to find it anywhere else these days. Well, that's the issue. I was unable to find a 3300X anywhere. All I could find was a 3100, 3600 or a 1600 AF. So the 3300X is so good that you cannot get your hands on it. That would be great for this game, but unfortunately cannot get my hands on it. Can you try 750 Ti versus PS4 resolution just for SS and Gs? Not really, because I do not have a PS4. PS4 is probably going to be between 900p and 1080p. But that's the good thing about the consoles, optimization. But the good thing is that PC after a couple of years gets up to speed, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Yeah, I mean, the game still looks decent. The thing are the textures. The textures are super muddy, which was to be expected. But I mean, this is a budget graphics card from 2014. What else do you want? Okay, type upgrades, awesome. Got it. I just want to go to sleep so I can go for daytime. Alright, check menu. Gotcha. Yeah, let's buy this item. I don't know what any of this is. Okay, loadouts. The game is trying to teach me how to do stuff. Equip a new gadget on your operative team view. Alright. Gadget. Spiderbot.
We have a sophisticated system for
Yeah. Thank you for letting me skip, Ubisoft. That's nice. See, as you can see, textures are not so great, but hey. Let's see if there's another outfit. Yeah, this looks flashy enough for me. Yeah, let's go for this one. I'm so badass now.
But it's also important to know the basics.
Yeah. I don't care about the basics. Just let me skip. Yeah, I mean, the 750 Ti, I suggest if you want to buy it, get it used for very cheap. New ones cost the same as a 570 at times. So do not even bother with a new 750 Ti. Okay, that was weird. I just threw a few punches and I was done with that tutorial. Oh, there's a guard break. Okay, I didn't know this. Okay. Temps. Yeah, the glowy pants. Those are great. The temps are... I don't remember exactly. Okay, dodge. Whoa. I didn't know that. That was badass. Okay, the combat is so much better than in the previous game. Yeah, by a long shot. The hand-to-hand combat is so much better. I love that thing of dodging. Thank you, Dark Souls, for giving me that skill. Yeah, it's okay to overclock your GPU as long as you... as long as the game doesn't crash. Oh, I have to defeat her. Whoa. Whoa. She's a badass. Come on, hit me. I'm here. Come on. Roundhouse to the face. Okay. The fighting is pretty decent. Feels weird with a keyboard though. With a keyboard, it feels a little stiff. Okay. I got her. Kicks to the face. Yeah, the combat so far is a lot better than Watch Dogs 2. Personal preference. But probably with a controller it's going to feel a lot better. ¿Ya probaste la 570? Aún no. Después de esto va la 570. After this we're going to be doing 570. So 1 second guys. I'm trying to do the sleeping thing to get to daytime. Okay, I have to go outside apparently. That data drive, no. Can't I just sleep here? Apparently not. I mean, everyone wants to hack and do all that good stuff, and I want to sleep in this game. How much will that 3100 limit at 1660 super? It really depends. If you're aiming for 60 frames per second, most games should be fine. In this game in particular, you're not going to get 60s. I tried it already. We're going to try it again on the AMD cards. But yeah. Okay, it's daytime now. Awesome. Okay.
Alright, let's do this. What's the
Yeah, I
plan,
mean,
Make no mistake,
720p, 30 frames, medium preset, lowest textures, 750 Ti overclocked. Doesn't get better than this, really.
boss? All this trick is
So yeah,
authoritarian hand-
pretty surprised.
Make people afraid.
Let's now go for the 570 because you guys wanted to see it. But yeah, the 750 Ti surprisingly can do it. I'm super shocked that it can do it. So 1 second guys, going to swap graphics cards. So yeah, let's reboot the PC. Well, turn it off. Here's the 570. So 1 second guys. Swapping graphics cards. Yeah, daytime finally. Also, the daytime ran better than nighttime. So good. Probably due to the spotlights. Alright, so the legendary graphics card, the 750 Ti, could do 720p medium settings when overclocked. So pretty satisfied considering it's a 750 Ti. Let's now do the 570, the Aorus 4GB 570 with a 4 GB of VRAM and an 8-pin connector. 1 second guys, gotta connect it. Alright, 8-pin connector in, PCI Express in, HDMI. Come on HDMI. That's not HDMI. Oh yeah, it was. Great. Alright, so now it's time for the 570. But yeah, if you have a PS4, you're probably going to get better performance than the 750 Ti. I mean, at the time the console released, the 750 Ti was on par, but as time goes on, usually the PC components get behind, especially the budget ones. But the good thing is that you can just change the graphics card and you're good to go. So that's a good thing. But yeah, that's what happens usually on PC. But I'm used to it already. I mean, happens every time. Anyways. So now we are with the 570 here, the what's the name of this? The drivers are already installed. I installed them beforehand, so I don't have to do that stuff while you guys are watching. So we're going to start with a very high preset and medium textures. So let's keep it like that. And we're launching MSI Afterburner. So as you can see, here's the graphics card, the RX 570. Come on, zoom in. The 570 with these drivers. So let's launch the game now. Ubisoft Connect. But yeah, now the 570. Yeah. Okay. Watch Dogs Legion launch. It's going to take a little bit of time for this to launch, so patience. That's key. It's key to be patient. You want to play Watch Dogs Legion on your RTX 2060? Well, the 2060 should be fine, especially with DLSS if it's well implemented. So we're going to see. Very good to have high VRAM. Yeah, I mean the RX 580 has 8 GB, the one I have, this one right here. You probably cannot see it, there you go. That one has 8 GB, so we're going to be able to push the textures to the maximum, hopefully. Yeah, it's the dude with 2 names. Your GPU uses a lot of power. What do you mean? ¿Le puedes hacer OC a la 1050 Ti? Sí se puede, pero no llega muy lejos, así que ni siquiera lo intento. Porque es muy pequeña la diferencia. Alright. So we're into the game once more. And we're going to select 1080p now. So back to 1080. We are going to adjust the frame rate counter so you can see it. There we go. Then on the quality option, we're going to keep DX12 and we're going to put the game on very high with textures on medium, so we have enough VRAM to play and no motion blur. So basically very high settings, medium textures, and that'll be about it. On DX12 we're going to try DX11 as well, because AMD and Nvidia handle that differently. But yeah. How soon Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Once it releases, I'll be testing it. Hopefully Ubisoft, after watching this live stream, wants to provide a code again. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to do Assassin's Creed Valhalla as well. So no worries about that. I'm going to be doing it once it's out, which should be in a couple weeks from now, I think. So you're going to have another live stream very soon.
I get it cheap, and I pass the savings on to. Hang on.
Sorry to interrupt your
All right.
but DedSec needs you. Ready for your first op.
Okay.
It's about time.
On very high settings, medium textures, we're at over 40 frames per second. That's pretty weird, but I like it. Okay, nice. This runs super nice. Also, this video memory is almost maxed out. That's probably going to result in some stutter. Let's see if there's water issues on this one. And by water issues, I mean when I look at water, I get a huge drop in performance. Alright. Okay, yeah, this one has water issues as well. As you can see, it was into the 40s. And now I look at water and I drop it to the upper 20s. What the heck, Ubisoft? Fix this, please. I mean, look at this. Okay, I'm into the mid-40s and I look at water and I'm into the mid-20s. Yeah, this is so weird. It seems to be an issue with DX12. Hopefully they can patch that out. But this is so weird. Makes no sense at all. ¿Cómo cambio de gráfica tan rápido? Experiencia. But yeah, I mean, the game runs fine as long as you're far away from the water. When you look at the water close by, you're kinda screwed. Yeah, I mean, the only issue is the water thing. Let's try DX11. Let's see if it stutters on DX11 like on Nvidia. Let's do the competition. So we're swapping to DX11 to see if we can get rid of the water issue without stutter. I'm not holding my breath, to be honest. Probably going to stutter a lot on DX11, but it'll be good to try it out. I mean, as long as you're not looking at the water, it was okay on the X12, but it's not nice. I mean, you're into the 40s, you just happen to drive by the water and bam, 20 FPS. That's BS. That needs to be patched. Okay, the SSR in Watch Dogs 2 was hectic if you maxed it out. Yeah, but the thing here is that even if I disable the reflections, if I lower the reflections to the minimum, the game still has those drops into the 20s. Yeah, VSync is disabled, I think. Yeah, it is disabled. Anyways, we're doing now DX11 with the same preset. So let's go test the water again. Yeah, the 580 should probably be like 10 FPS more, but it would be nice to test with more VRAM. We have 8 GB. On this one we only have 4. So the RX 580 will be significantly better on the texture side of things. Anyways, so we're back here.
Not looking so bad.
Dick got my eyes.
Okay, I robbed a car from the police. Okay, yeah, DX11 stutters just like on Nvidia cards. So yeah, AMD doesn't get safe from that either. But the water issue is completely gone. Well, the stutters are significantly less. I mean, there's still stutter on the X11, but it's so much better than on Nvidia. On Nvidia it was a lot more stuttery, if that's a word. It's interesting. It's not as bad on the X11 as it was on Nvidia, which should be the other way around. In general, the Nvidia cards are the one that have the best experience on the X11. Let me see, where's the water? Oh, this way. Perfect. Santiago looking for the water. Where's the water, ma'am? Alright. So we're back here. And let's see the water. Yeah, as you can see here, the water issue is non-existent. I'm pretty surprised that the CPU is not maxed out like on the Nvidia cards. So on the Radeon cards, I'll probably use DX11. How interesting. I mean, the frame times on the Nvidia cards with DX11 was awful. The frame times were super inconsistent. On the 570, not so much. I can do DX11 with very few stutters and without the water issue. So yeah, my advice on the Radeon cards, which sounds kind of weird, is to use DX11 to avoid that glitch with the water. We're not getting stutter. And if you're getting stutter, just use DX12. But yeah, I mean, DX11 on the AMD GPUs on this one seems to be faster. That's so weird. It's usually the other way around. Usually DX12 runs better on AMD, but in this case, it seems to be fine. Yeah, the water issue is super weird, but it seems to only be an issue on DX12. On DX11, the issue is nowhere to be seen. So let's do... So my advice here, between DX11 and 12, is that if you have an Nvidia GPU from the 16 series and before, do DX12. And if you have an AMD GPU, do DX11 to avoid the water issue. To avoid those drops into the 20s. But yeah, let's try cranking up the textures, the settings even higher. Let's try Ultra, now that we're here. We're going to do Ultra with textures on medium. Yeah, let's see how that goes. So Ultra with medium textures. Wish me luck, guys. Okay, so ultra settings, medium textures. Okay, over 30 here. We'll see once we start driving. Oh, I forgot to disable the motion blur. My apologies. Motion blur. Bye-bye. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, ultra preset, medium textures. It's running pretty well.
Get the fuck out! Now!
Okay, now we're in the upper 30s, in the lower 30s. Yeah, maybe very high is the sweet spot for this one. We're already dropping into the 30s at times. But yeah, pretty impressed that DX11 runs better on the AMD card this time around. Nice. Yeah, if you have an 8GB 570, you can crank up textures. This is a 4GB version, that's why the textures are on medium. But yeah, this is the full fat ultra settings without the textures. And it seems to be fine. Let me see, where's the mission? Oh, it was just next to the safe house. So let's fast travel there. But yeah, it's not bad at all. Considering, I mean, I was expecting the worst coming from the 1050 Ti and the 750 Ti, but the 570 is doing pretty well. I'm impressed. How's the performance? On Nvidia cards before the 16 series, not so good. On the 570 is pretty decent. Does high and very high make any difference? We're going to try that out soon, but the biggest difference was usually the shadows. Okay, now here we're dropping below 30. Yeah, probably those those pieces of glass. So we're going to drop to, let's do shadows on very high and reflections on very high. Okay, that did the job. So ultra preset with very high shadows and very high textures, very high reflections and shadows. Yeah, that seems to be the best way to get what's the name of this, over 30 frames per second. These shadows do not look that great though. This looks super blurry, and once you're outside, it seems to be okay. So yeah, let's try to get 60 frames like some people suggested. Let's be quick about that. Probably not 60s, but hey, let's give it a try. So medium textures, low settings. So this is the low preset with medium textures. Let's see if we can get 60s, probably not. Okay, we're getting 50s, 40s. Yeah, but we're CPU bound. As you can see, the GPU usage is not maxed out at all. We're into the 70% range. So yeah, not locked 60s. We're going to drop into the 40s. Probably driving is going to drop us even further. So yeah, not great. Not great at all. This is a 4-core thread CPU. Okay, the game froze. Okay, we're back. That I was afraid for a second. Yeah, you're not getting 60s with this CPU. You probably need something with faster single-threaded performance. It's not even maxing out the CPU, so makes no sense that we're dropping below 60. But hey, let's do a very quick test on DX12. Let's see if DX12 can give us 60 frames. It will be interesting to see. So we swap to DX12, so we put less stress on the CPU. That'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, it's not fully utilizing our CPU, so the graphics card is not, I mean, better said, the GPU is being underutilized, probably due to the game not using the CPU properly. But yeah, low settings, it looks awful, so I recommend you use at least high and stay over 30 frames, considering the game cannot get to lock 60s. It's kind of, yeah, probably the best way to play at the moment is to do over 30 frames per second with the highest preset that you can afford, basically. I mean, even with a Ryzen 5 3600, it's probably not going to hit 60s. Who knows? But yeah, not a good way, not a good way to play. So this is probably not aimed to play at 60s, which is unfortunate. I mean, with DX12,
Ready to go?
okay, DX12 now. Let's drive a car. Okay, on DX12 now is better, but still not using our GPU at the maximum all the time. Let's see. Alright, I was probably wrong. Okay, on DX12 is fine. At least this part. Let's go to the safe house. Oh, it's around the corner. Okay, on DX12, it does hold up, at least in this part. Instead of going into the 40s, it's going into the 50s. So, okay, I can get behind this. So, this is so weird. If you want to avoid the water issue, you had to use DX11, but if you want 60 frames, you need to use DX12. So probably DX12 is the way to go. Do not use DX11 unless you're aiming for 30 frames per second on the AMD card, which is super specific. But yeah, DX12 is the way to go. I mean, it's using our CPU correctly, not perfectly, but we can get very smooth frame rates between 50 and 60. So yeah, DX12, go for DX12. That's my advice. Yeah, the thing is that probably I cannot do ultra settings with this. We're going to find out soon. But yeah, the only issue with DX12 that I have at the moment is the water issue. And what I call the water issue is an issue that when you get close to water, it drops into the 30s or 20s. As you can see, this. I mean, I'm close to water and I drop into the 30s, 40s and 30s. But then if I get away from the water, it goes back into the 50s and 60s. But it only happens on DX12. But DX12 uses the CPU so much better that I cannot recommend DX11. I mean, just take a look at this. If you go this way, I mean, look at the water this way, you're getting mid-30s. If I look away from the water, I get 60s. So this is my issue with DX12. Other than that, the CPU usage is great, considering that I'm aiming for 60 frames. On the DX11 this was impossible. But on the DX11 I do not get this big issue with the water. So yeah, I'll probably just keep DX12. I mean, it uses the CPU so much more efficiently. The water issue is the problem. I mean, the game should run better, don't get me wrong. But the problem with DX12 that I have is that thing, the water issue. Let's try the very high preset on DX12. So we go for very high, and we keep textures on medium. Then the motion blur disabled as usual, and medium textures. Let's see. Okay, we're over 30 just fine. But when we look at water, we drop below 30. But I mean, if you don't mind about those drops when looking at water, it should be okay. The thing is, when you aim for 30, there, when you look at the water, you drop into the 20s. But I mean, it's not a huge portion of the map, you could say. Yeah, most of the map is not water. But they need to fix this. You're going to be crossing around this part multiple times. But yeah, anyways. Other than that, it seems to be fine. When you're not looking at water, as you can see here, when I'm looking at the water part, it drops into the 20s, into the teens. But if I keep going like that, it's fine. It's okay. Okay, it's not okay anymore, apparently. Yeah, what the heck? That was so weird. When looking at this car, I drop frames. Probably the reflections, but... Okay, so apart from the water issue, we got the reflection issue. Apparently, when I get into a car with many reflections, I drop into the 20s. So yeah, let's lower those reflections. Yeah, DX12 is pissing me off. yeah, this does not fix it. So yeah, I cannot recommend these settings. Just by looking at these reflections, I get problems. What the heck? Yeah, that's basically an issue with reflections. That's probably why the water has problems, due to the big reflections. That's why it's so broken on DX12 when looking at reflections. Holy hell. No. No. Why? Yeah. On the Radeon cards, use DX11. No doubts about it. Just use DX11. If you're aiming for 60, use DX12. But if you're aiming for 30, use DX11. I know it sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. On DX12, you have that issue that it drops into the 20s when you look close to reflections. On DX11 you do not have that problem, but DX11 uses so much more CPU. I mean, yeah, even when aiming for 60, if I look to the reflections, I get mid-20s. I mean, it makes no sense at all. Something is definitely up with the DX12 implementation on the on the AMD and Nvidia cards. So yeah, something is broken. Let's try 900p now. So we're going to swap to 900p because I had enough for 1080p. Something is wrong, definitely. We're going to see once we test the 580. Maybe it's a video memory issue. We're about to find out. But let's do first low settings 900p. So this is 900p low settings. Let's aim for 60 frames now that we are here. So yeah, 900p, and we're using the low preset since we are aiming for 60 frames on DX12. So in this part it's 60, and when I look into the reflection, okay, it's fixed. Let's look at the water. Okay, the water still has problems, but the car doesn't. So at least we fixed the car reflection issue. Yeah, the thing was the the water reflections are still wrong on the X12. But yeah, maybe if we lower the textures on the AMD card, we're going to have less of a problem with the car reflections. But this doesn't look good for 60 frames. Yeah, do not aim for 60 on this one. It's going to be super unstable. Let's do now medium, now that we are here. We do medium with medium textures. So this is medium preset. Alright, still over 50. So 900p medium seems to hold up. Yeah, we're going to try 1080p at the end to just double check if it was a bug or something. But I think it's video memory related, maybe. But yeah, the car is now fixed apparently. So good. The thing is, again, the water reflections were the ones that gave me the most problems. Yeah, when looking at water, for some reason it breaks. But yeah, if you want to aim for something like 60, but not quite 60s, consider, what's the name of this? Medium settings 900p. Let's do now ultra settings medium textures, just to do it, because why not? So we jump straight into ultra preset. Since it was fine on 1080p. Okay, ultra preset not going to work on this. Probably the reflection. Here's when the reflections kick in, I guess. Yeah, no thank you. Let's go back to very high. Yeah, there's definitely something going on with the reflections. Okay, very high works fine. So very high presets. Yeah, the thing is when you go to Ultra it kind of breaks. So do not use Ultra. Use very high. Very high looks still pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, it seems to be okay. I'm very high. So yeah, probably would use very high settings on 1080p with DX11. That would be my best settings. I won't be doing 720. I think, well, let's do 720 on very high. Oh, a flying drone. Almost gotcha. Drone. Yeah, but I'm going to try 720p on very high presets. Probably going to be way over 30. But ultra settings do not work fine. Oh yeah, something is definitely up. We're going to double check with the 580 that has more VRAM. But yeah, such a weird issue. I always run into, yeah, I'll go back to DX11, but but if you go for DX11, you cannot go to 60 frames because your CPU will hold you back. So that's the issue with DX11. We're going to do 720p now and then do DX11. Just let me double check super quickly. Okay, very high. We're over 50, so yeah, 720p runs fine. Probably drop to high if you want higher frame rates. But yeah, 720p was going to run well. So yeah, let's do DX11 on the best settings. So we're going to go for 1080p. Yeah, it's probably a VRAM issue. Oh, I'll try something different. I'll try what's the name of this? I'll try DX12 on very high with textures on the lowest, just to double check if it's a VRAM issue or not. That will require me to restart the game, but it will be worth it. So we're going to try the lowest textures to see if that changes anything at all. Just to see if it's a VRAM problem or not. And after that we're doing DX11. But yeah. DX11 at 60 won't be a problem with the Ryzen 5 3600. I cannot really know. I have to try it. But it's probably going to be better than here, that's for sure. I mean, if the DX11 implementation is fine, it's probably going to be into the 50s instead of the 40s. 1360 by 768p is basically almost the same as 720p, so yeah, we're going to try DX11 soon. 1 second. Going to have to double check if the textures are effed up or not. I just want to check that out, if the water issue and the reflection thing are VRAM related or not. After that, we're doing DX11, 720p, all that good stuff. But yeah, what a weird issue. I always run into problems with reflections on games. Jesus Christ. What about the 1650 Super? After the 580, we're doing the 1650 Super, yeah. No worries.
Not doing anything important. You've been activated.
No problemo.
Okay, so lowest textures, very high settings. Let's go close to the water again. Yeah, the textures are potato here. But let's just double check with the water. Let's see if we drop into the 20s or not. Yeah, we still do. Yeah, there's still the water issue. I mean, 40, 20, well, 30. So 20, 47, 20, upper 20s, low 40, upper 40s. Yeah, I get 20 FPS by just not looking at water. So yeah, not a VRAM issue. Seems to be a thing with the DirectX 12 implementation. So we're going to keep textures on medium, DX11. So very high, DX11, medium textures, and no motion blur. And we're restarting the game. But yeah, and then we're doing 720, yeah, of course, for sure. But yeah, it wasn't a video memory issue. So yeah, I gotta report that to Ubisoft. But yeah, good thing I caught this early. So probably they can fix it with a patch or with drivers. Or maybe it's only an issue I run into, who knows. You know how PC usually is not eating answer to you. Please 1360 by 768p. I already told you it's 720p. Runs basically the same. But yeah. Sí, no era un problema de memoria de video. It wasn't a VRAM issue, as you could see. I went to the lowest textures, still had problems with the water. So definitely something is going on with DX12. Unfortunately, DX11 on the NVIDIA cards I tried, it wasn't great. It was a lot of stutter. On the AMD cards, for some reason, DX11 is great. No water issues and no reflection problems. So that's good to see, at least that AMD improved their DX11 compatibility, I guess. But yeah, I prefer a little extra stutter in comparison to getting to a car with weird reflections and dropping into the 20s. Personal preference. Alright. Now that we are close to the water. Okay, yeah, no water issues here, as you can see. Let me double check the options menu. So we got 1080p, very high. Yeah, very high preset, medium textures, yeah. And the DX11, no water issue, and there are reflections, so yeah. Yeah, no water issue, as you can see, 50, 52. Yeah, instead of 40, instead of low 30s, upper 20s, and then upper 40s, this is 50s and 50s. Yeah, this is how it should be. So definitely there's something up with the DX12 here and the reflections. But yeah. ¿Cuál es mi main GPU? Es una 2060. My main GPU is a 2060. I use it to do the live stream and do the transparent background. But yeah, the issue with DX11 though is that the CPU requirements are much higher. So if you go for example, 720p, that should give you like 50 to 60 frames. On the DX11 you're going to have kind of a problem to reach that due to the CPU limitation. So DX12 is good on the CPU side of things. DX11 more of a no water issues. But yeah, as you can see here, the GPU is at 68% and the frame rate is not locked at 60. So we are basically using half the GPU and that's because the CPU is not being completely taken advantage of, I guess. I mean, it's more single-threaded. It's not using all the cores, but it's using a few of those cores to like 70 to 80%. But I mean, this is at least 50 frames. We'll see once I get into a car. But as you can see, it's not fully utilizing the GPU. On the DX12, it did utilize it at its maximum potential most of the time. But we got the water issues and the reflection issues that drops us into the 30s. So yeah, as you can see on the DX11 when driving, the GPU just isn't fully utilized at all. So I'll use DX11 in general to be over 30 frames with good visuals. And if you have a good CPU, you can do 60s, but then if you want 60s more consistently, DX12, but when you're on a card with weird reflections or water reflections are close by, you're going to get half the frame rate. So yeah. IMXQ0, dude, it's going to run the same as 720p. Stop asking, please, or I'll have to time you out. Sir, this is a Wendy's. Anyways, so if you're not using RTX, I'll use DX11 in general. So let's now swap to the 580. So let me quickly go for 1080p again. 1080p on very high. We're going to put the textures DX12 just to try it out, and we're going to use textures on Ultra for the RX 580. So I'm keeping the ground made for the 580 basically. So let's put it on Ultra, completely maxed out on DX12. So this is going to use 7.5 gigabytes of VRAM. So we apply the settings. It says that it wants to restart the game. Well, no, I'm going to swap to the 580 now. So let's turn off the PC after the game launches. But yeah, the issues with the reflections of the X12 are so stupid. But since I'm usually the one that takes a look at weird things going on with games, it kind of makes sense that I found out by just playing. I'm always looking at reflections and weird stuff. So let's just turn off the PC and swap to the 580 to see if the VRAM makes a difference. It will be interesting to see. So we swap to background blur, so you can see my background now. So anyways, the PC is now off. Let's disconnect the 570. But yeah, best settings for the 570. Very high settings, medium textures, DX11, over 30 frames, decent visuals, no water issues, and you'll be fine. So let's now do the RX 580. This is a triple fan version, but I will put the same clocks as the dual fan version. So it runs the same as a dual fan card. So don't worry if you don't have the 3 fan version. This massive card will be downclocked a little bit. Alright. Oh shit, this is such a huge card. Alright. HDMI cable in. Alright. I managed to put the graphics card into the PC. It's a huge card, so sorry about the delay. But this one is going to run cool as heck, so it will be interesting. What time is it in Spain? Not sure, but it's probably 11 p.m. maybe. Here it's 8 p.m. so it's still a great time to be awake, I would say. I mean, the game is not out yet. Should be out by tomorrow. Not sure the exact time, but I can play it because Ubisoft provided a copy. Thank you, Ubisoft, for providing a copy of the game, despite me finding a lot of issues with it. But yeah, I mean, I'm playing it because I got a review copy, so it's not out yet to everyone, so it's probably going to improve with patches and all that stuff, but hopefully we can make them see that there's a problem with the game so they can fix it. Alright, so now we have the 580 into the PC. So this is 580, and we're going to be doing 1080p first on DX12, then we're going to try DX11. DX11 will be for the end. But yeah, this is Ultra preset, and we're going to be using the Ultra texture pack, which is a separate download. But first things first, this triple fan card is clocked at 1411 megahertz. Dual fan cards are usually at 1366, so we're going to put it at that number. So this is what a dual fan card should run like. As you can see on idle, 23 degrees Celsius on the triple fan card. So yeah, a beastly Asus card. Doing nothing is at 23 degrees and the fans are not spinning. That's why I like spending extra on triple fan cards. I mean, the temperatures are amazing. Ezio GT2011 wants to be my friend. Well, later. I'll add you later after the live stream. If you guys want to add me on Uplay, I'm Santiago 6, as you can see at the top right here. If you want to add me, I will add you. But yeah, anyways, launching the game now. Is it 1060 equal RX 580? Not exactly, it depends on the game, depending on the DX12 or DX11 implementations. In this case, I would say the 580 is going to probably be faster because DX11 is running better on the AMD cards this time around. So probably it's going to be a little slower, I would say. We're about to find out, but yeah. RX 580 equals 1070. No, it's not the same as a 1070, it depends on the game. It really depends on the game, but it's not the same as a 1070. Should I use the same settings that he uses for RX 580 for your 1060? You can try. I'll probably use slightly lower textures. Probably going to be using what? High textures. No, medium or high textures. High textures should be fine on your 6 GB card. But yeah, ultra textures it already requires a lot more VRAM. So yeah, we're doing ultra settings, no motion blur, and yeah, DX12. Wish me luck, I'm going to need it. Let's see if there's still water issues or not. At what settings RX 470 can run this? You can probably do high settings over 30 frames per second on DX11. That's what I would do on 470. But yeah, high settings, medium textures should be fine for a 470. But yeah, the 580 is not the same as a 1070. Maybe in Forza Horizon 4, but Forza Horizon 4 runs amazing on AMD. Yeah, the 580 is closer to a 1060. It really varies from game to game, but yeah. Well, yeah, not ultra because of the car headlights. Okay, I'm going to crank up the car headlights. Calm down, dude. I'm going to do it, no worries. Oh yeah, the preset does not go over 2 car headlights. So yeah, that's why I didn't do it, but I'm going to do it, don't worry. Now that you requested that, we're going to do it. Also, the game takes a little more time to load the first time you launch it on DX12, so patience. What are the best settings for the 1660 Super? I don't know yet because I still have to test the 1650 Super. Once I test that one, I can tell you the best settings for the 1660 Super. Probably going to be high settings if you wanted more than 45 FPS, something like that. 1 second guys, I'm going to drink some water.
I hope you're not doing anything important. You've been activated.
Anyways, so let me do what our friendly neighborhoods said. Let's crank up the headlight shadows to 4 cars, because why not? This is ultra settings anyways. So yeah, everything on the maximum settings, everything on the maximum. Yeah, we're over 30 frames. As you can see, the video memory usage is at 6.1 gigabytes. And we're going to try the water issue. But yeah, over 30 frames per second on the highest settings. Well, it dropped into the 20s now. Never mind. No longer the highest settings. Ugh, no. Highest settings, do not do it. Please do not do it. At least not close to the water or reflections. Yeah, on the X11 is probably going to be able to do ultra just fine. The thing is, when you go to DX12 and get close to water or reflections on cars, For some reason the performance gets wrecked. Alright, we're just next to the water now. And yeah, we're into the mid-20s. Yeah, if I look this way it's 30, if I look in the reflection of the car it's fine. The thing is when the water is into the frame, mid-20s. So let's try it very high. So we do very high now. And we're going to keep the texture resolution on the maximum. So this is very high preset. And ultra textures, because we have enough video memory for that. Alright, so as you can see I'm very high. When I look into this place it's into the 40s, but when I look into the water it's into the low 30s. Sorry, upper 20s. So there's definitely a water issue going on this one as well. So what I will do guys is try to get 60s because DX12 is better on the CPU side. And after that we're going to be doing DX11, trying to get over 30 frames per second with the highest visuals that we can master. And that should be about it. Then we're doing the 1650 Super. So let's go for medium settings. Medium settings should be fine for that. So we're doing medium settings, ultra textures because we have 8 GB of VRAM. So medium preset, 1080p DX12. So we can get to 60s, and as you can see we're getting here 60s. But when you look at water or some of the car reflections, you're going to suffer, basically. As you can see here, when you get close to the water, you drop into the 30s. So yeah, when Ubisoft fixes this issue with the water and DX12, you should probably be getting 50 to 60 on DX12 on medium settings. And now the game froze. What the heck? Okay, the game broke. What the heck? Let's see if it fixed by alt-tabbing out. Okay, what the heck just happened? The game broke for a couple seconds. Oh man. Ubisoft will hate me for this. That was hilarious. What the heck happened there? Why did it die? Oh man. Yeah, let's jump into the water. I'll follow your instructions. Yeah, let's be a madman and jump into the water. Let's do that right away. Yeah, let's be crazy. Into the water! Yeah, as you can see, into the water, mid-30s. When driving I was into the 40s, 40 to 60. I mean, the water doesn't look that nice anyway, so how could this wreck performance so much? I mean, so weird. So yeah, when looking at water, you're not going to have a good time in DX12. So as long as you do medium settings 1080p, once they fix the water thing, it should be 45 to 60. So let's now just do DX11 and have some fun. So we're going to be doing Ultra on the highest of the highest on DX11. So we have to restart the game for that. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about DX11 later at the end of the live stream on my thoughts, because this is so weird. Never saw anything like this before. But yeah, let's do DX11, try to be over 30 with the best visuals possible. 60 frames, that's a DX12 thing, but DX12 has problems, so 60 frames at the moment not possible. Unless you have a very fast CPU on the single threaded performance side. In that case, you'll be fine. The thing is, when you have a quad-core CPU or a 6-core 12-thread CPU without a lot of single-thread performance, in that case, DX11 won't be enough won't be enough. On the DX11 you won't be able to get 60s. So yeah, they need to fix that DX12 issue and they will be okay. But yeah. What is hilarious is that this is the first game that Ubisoft provided a review copy of. So this is the first time they see my coverage and it's going to be about the game not working correctly. So yeah, I'm probably not getting any more review copies. But I have to be honest, I cannot help myself. So on the DX11 maximum settings, as you can see looking at water on the Ultra preset, we used to be into the 20s, now we are just fine over 40. So use the DX11 in this case. Much better for the AMD cards for some reason. What a weird thing. Also for the people that were asking, there are screen space reflections. I can see them when moving the camera. If you can see, this is the brick wall being reflected. If I look down, the reflection of the brick wall is basically gone. There are only cube maps left. Same with that thing over there. What the? Come on. Really? I can't go here? Okay. Also the same here. This is the reflection. If I look down, the reflection disappears. So yeah, there are screen space reflections. The reflections are not gone. Not completely at least. So yeah, no water issues on the DX11, which is great. So let's drive around a little bit. But as you can see now, ultra textures, ultra settings seems to be okay on the 580. On the DX11 you can do over 30 frames just fine. But yeah, even driving around, before it was below 30 on the DX12. Here we're over 30 basically all the time. So yeah, do not think about it. If you have this card of the 570, use the DX11 at the moment to avoid those big drops. But yeah, other than that, seems to be fine. It's using 6 GB of VRAM. So yeah, let's go back to the to the safe house. Let's see if it holds up over 30 in the close places, because there's a place with a lot of what's the name of this, with some glass that gave me problems on the 570. Let's try that out. Then we're doing 900p and then 1440p. Maybe let's do 1440p and 4K. Let's be badasses and let's try those two resolutions. 900p, I mean, will be over 30 on Ultra. If it's on Ultra over 30 on 1080p, it'll be okay. Si el movimiento de los vehículos no está bueno, es medio tosco, sí. Alright, so here on the 570 I was getting, with these settings, I was getting 28 FPS. Here I'm getting 30. So I would say the Ultra preset on this card is fine. You can do over 30 frames just fine on the DX11. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about this. Yeah, I mean, Ultra settings on the 580 seems to be okay. Yeah, seems to be fine. Let's see here. Yeah, water issues. No water issues. Just me crashing onto stuff like it should be. So yeah, the DX11 is working as intended, at least. Yeah, I'll be doing 1440p and 4K. But yeah, as you can see, 1080p. As long as you go DX11, you'll be okay. Even when this effects on screen or driving fast or crashing into stuff like a madman. So yeah, it's so weird to shoot into this part of the car. I forget that in the UK the driver's seat is on the right instead of the left. But yeah, I mean, it's fine on the 580, as you can see. Come on, kill me. Come on, kill me so I can do 1440p. That will look much better. Come on, waiting for you. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So let's now do 1440p. One of my favorite resolutions nowadays. So we swap to 1440p now. Okay, do you want to keep the current settings? Yes, please. And I'm going to change the size of the overlay so you guys can see the frame rate. If not, it's going to be a little difficult, to put it frankly. So we crank up the size there. So you can see the 1440p thing. Probably going to be using high or very high for this one. Let's first start with the Ultra preset. So this is, as you can see, 1440p. On quality, we're using DX11 on the Ultra preset. It's probably going to be below 30. Okay, we're into the 30s, but when I'm driving, it's probably going to drop. But yeah, this is 1440p, and it looks super sharp in comparison to 1080p, despite being only 33% more pixels, I think. Yeah, dropping below 30 now. Let's do the tweaks. Probably high set. Let's try very high first. So very high with ultra textures. So this is very high preset. Yeah, after this one I'm doing the 1650 Super, guys. Do not worry, I'm going to be doing it. Alright, okay. Very high settings, 1440p, over 30 at the moment. But man, it looks so sharp at 1440p, it's ridiculous. Let's see close to trees and stuff. Okay, here we drop into the upper 20s. Oh, I forgot to disable the motion blur. Ugh. My bad. I do not want motion blur, thank you. Alright. Now we're talking. Yeah, I'll probably be using either very high or high settings at 1440p. So yeah, the game looks amazing at 1440p in comparison to 1080p. And you get over 30 frames. Again, 60 frames with the broken DX12 implementation, that wouldn't cut it. If you want 60s, you probably want to do 1080p medium and have a faster CPU than the one that I have. But yeah, let's fast travel to the hideout. Oh, no need to fast travel then. Alright, that way. Which way? Yeah, that way. But yeah, it seems to be fine. Excellent. So if you want to do 1440p 30 frames, it's easy to do on the 580. I will probably do it even on the 570 using a mix between medium and high. But yeah, pretty impressed considering the card I'm using. Let's see once I get in here. Whoa, whoa, dude. No, you lost yours. You're trying to hit me. Okay, okay. Get away or I shoot you in the face. Come on, run. Dance. Anyways. So I got a little pissed there. Anyways. So let's see if I can find the hideout again. Since here's when I run the worst. Okay, 30 frames. So yeah, no worries. 1440p, very high, seems to be fine. Do you have a 1440p monitor? No, I have a 4K monitor, but I do like doing 1440p. It looks sharper than 1080p, but it does look, what's the name of this? But it doesn't look as bad as 1080p on a 4K display. Looks pretty good. So yeah, this will be my best settings for 1440p. Very high preset, ultra textures. And you should be over 30 just fine on DX11. On DX12 is probably going to drop because DX12 implementation needs work. But yeah, let's do 4K after I die. So you can see how 4K runs if you care about that. But yeah. Come on, kill me. It's taking a while. Okay, perfect. Let's now do 4K. Because why not? Let's do 4K on a 580. So we pause the game. Video options. Display. And we go for... Oh, let's do 1800p first. 1800p is close. Now let's do 4K. Then we do 1800p. So we're doing 4K now. Then we do 1800p. Gotta change the size of the overlay so you can see what I'm doing. 1, 2, there we go. So this is 4K on DX11. And we're going to try the high preset. So 1 second, guys. Let's see the very high preset. Yeah, very high preset runs at 20 frames. So I'll try high first. So we go on the graphics quality to high. The textures still on ultra, because why not? And okay, mid-20s still. So no thank you. So 4K probably not going to be good on this card. Who have thought? So ultra textures medium now. So mid preset at 4K. Yeah, still mid-20s, upper 20s. No thank you. Let's see as a last resort low settings. Low settings, ultra textures. So low preset. Alright, on the low preset we're getting 30s, but it's probably going to drop quite a bit below that when in the safe zone. Let's see the safe zone. At least there are still shadows. I mean, you do not get reflections, I think. Yeah, the reflections are gone. You don't get any ambient occlusion, so the game looks flat. But I mean, yeah, in this place it drops into the upper 20s, so it's going to probably drop when fighting. Yeah, do not do 4K. You can do low preset, but it's not running well. So I'm going to try high settings on 1800p. 1800p is 3200 by 1800. This is like super close to 4K. On a 4K display this looks amazing, so we're going to try that. 1800p. This is not 1080p, this is 3200 by 1800, which is a resolution I think you should consider if you have a 4K display. If you don't, whatever. So yeah, 1800p, like the consoles like doing sometimes on the high preset. So as you can see, 3200 by 1800 on the high preset with ultra textures, and let's see how it goes. Alright, 30 frames. So yeah, this will be my best quality settings by a long shot. This looks super sharp. Yeah, a lot of detail. I'll probably go for this high preset, ultra textures, 1800p on DX11. If you have a good enough display to see this resolution, probably going to drop in here. Okay, not that bad, 28, 29. But then we go outside. Oh, the motion blur. Sorry guys, I always forget to disable the motion blur. That sometimes has a hit to performance. Alright, a couple extra frames, great. So yeah, this will be my best settings for the best visuals possible. High settings, 1800p. So yeah, super sharp. So yeah. Anyways, gonna do the 1650 Super now, so one card left. Finally, they killed me super quickly. Sí, 1800p es increíble como se ve en un monitor 4K. But yeah, this is great that the game can run at this resolution on this card. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting way lower frames considering how it ran on 1080p. But yeah. Yeah, super sharp. Anyways. So yeah, the game runs fine on this card, I would say. As long as you're targeting 30, it's okay. Yeah, you even have this thing. That is not a good time to use. Look at me there, standing, like nothing is going on. And the police shooting at me, and I'm just here using the spider bot. Hello. But yeah, let's do the 1650 Super now. It seems to be running okay. Yeah, there's a problem reaching 60 frames. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video, but it's something that Ubisoft needs to take a look at. But yeah, this resolution would be my best settings for 1080p. For 1080p, for 1800p. There are no water issues either, so happy about that. Yeah, no water issues. Beautiful. Going to talk about water issues later. But yeah, let's do the 1650 Super now. So I'm going to change the resolution back to 1080p, so when I launch the game it's going to be fine. So we do Ultra. Oh wait. First I gotta change the resolution. So back to 1080, like we should. No, DirectX 12 está rotísimo en esta placa. O sea, va a estar debajo de 30. Ni siquiera voy a intentarlo otra vez. Voy a hacer DirectX 12 en la 1650 Super. Alright guys, so we're going to be swapping to the 1650 Super now. So here's the card. 1 second, I gotta turn off the PC after closing Watch Dogs. Bye bye Watch Dogs. We put this back to 1080p and we shut down the PC. Time to put the 1650 Super to good use. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, here we got 1650 Super, and this time it's going to be 1080p on DX12. We're going to try DX11 as well, just be patient. On the Ultra preset. Alright, so let's now swap graphics cards. So I'm back here, about to swap a graphics card. 1 second guys, gotta remove the huge RX 580. It's so difficult to remove this. Yeah, a huge GPU, as you can see. Here's the 580. I have the triple fan version. So yeah, there you go. Now we got this one, the 1650 Super, just a 6-pin connector, and we are back in. Alright. Okay, perfect. It's back in now. So yeah, about to go to the 1650 Super, gotta wait for the drivers to be installed, but yeah. At the moment, my expectations for this are going to be, what's the name of this? My expectations here, what are those? Yeah, my expectations are stutter on the DX11 like it happened on the other Nvidia cards, and better frame rates on the DX12, but we're going to have the water issue. But we're about to find out. So we're back now. So now we got the 1650 Super into the PC. The drivers are already installed. As you can see, 1650 Super. Hopefully this is the latest drivers. If it's not, I apologize. It should be. Those were the latest ones when I started the live stream Let me check very quickly. Alright, come on NVIDIA website. Waiting for you. Yeah, still the latest ones. But yeah, yeah. I say but yeah a lot. sorry. I'm not used to speaking a lot. But yeah. For games, if you're talking about that, what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm completely lost. Ahora pregunta por qué utilizas gráficas baratas y hablas en inglés. Porque llego a mucha más gente. Si vieras las métricas del canal, los que menos me miran son los que hablan español, por lejos. Y porque nadie hace cosas baratas, todos hacen cosas caras. Someone was asking me why I speak English and do cheap graphics cards, and I don't do cheap graphics cards aimed at Spanish speaking people. Well, that's because I get to a lot more people speaking English, and the metrics in my channel show me that most people that watch my channel do not speak Spanish by a huge amount. And I do cheap stuff because everyone does expensive stuff and it's boring. Anyways, so let's do DX12 with Ultra preset, medium textures, and we gotta restart the game, unfortunately. But hey, where are you from? I'm from Uruguay, a country between Argentina and Brazil, here in South America. Vivo en Uruguay, país entre Argentina y Brasil, acá en Sudamérica. Alright. Well, thank you, Nirv Hey Kapoor. Sorry if I messed that up, but thank you for the comment. Can you do Valhalla? Yes, once it releases, I'll be doing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It will be interesting to see, because that's another game that's going to be getting a DX12 implementation. So yeah, it will be good to see, I think. Puede dar en la 1060 3GB, sí, pero bajale las texturas. Alright guys, so 1080p, 1650 Super, as you can see here. Everything on Ultra, except in textures, which is on Medium. We are a little bit over the VRAM usage, the maximum, but we're going to be tweaking the game here and there. DX12 has an issue with water. For some reason, looking at water gives me half the frame rate. Same with looking at some reflections. So we're going to try both DX12 and DX11, since on DX11 there are no issues whatsoever with the water, but there's more CPU usage, so gotta balance those out. Uruguay reminds me of Master Ogway. Yeah, basically. Would be awesome to check out the Vega series by AMD. Yeah, maybe. I mean, in my country there are none of those. They're all in the used market, but they are pretty expensive, so. ¿Crees que irá bien la 1650 Super en el nuevo Assassin's Creed? Sí, por supuesto. Yo creo que no va a tener drama, si anda bien acá. Saludos de Ars, saludos de Uruguay. Gracias por venir. Yeah, the first time the game loads on DX12 takes a little bit of time, so sorry about the delay. It takes a while, the first time around. Then it will load right away, but yeah. Yeah, the game does look weird, especially on daytime. It looks pretty flat. It's a weird decision. True, I agree, Sohel. Sorry if I messed that up, but 1650 Super, you wish it had 6 gigabytes. Same. If it had more than 4 gigabytes of VRAM, I would recommend it, no, without a doubt, but that's not the case. Avshik Mukher G, sorry if I completely messed that up, donated 100 rupees, so thank you so much for the donation. He says, great content bro, keep them coming, love from India, well, love from Uruguay. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it a lot. But yeah, thank you, love from Uruguay. I hope you're having a good day. So guys, on Ultra preset, 1080p on DX12, Whoa, yeah, I completely maxed out the VRAM, as you can see. That's why I get those weird drops when I'm running around. So I gotta lower the shadows and the reflections to very high in order to stay in the VRAM usage, in the correct VRAM usage. So we are using the Ultra preset with very high reflections and shadows, and medium textures because we don't have enough VRAM for that either. As you can see, textures on medium, no motion blur. All right, much better. As you can see now, the VRAM usage is at 3.5 and the frame rate is not all over the place like it was a second ago. So yeah, let's get to the water, which is this way. Let's see if there's water issues going on like on the previous card. Yeah, the driving feels weird still. They are not nailing it down yet. Okay, moment of truth. Let's get closer. This is too far away. Run, run. Directly into the water. Alright. Apparently the 1650 Super has no water issues. The only cards that seem to have water issues on the X12 were the 1050 Ti, the 750 Ti a little, and the AMD cards on the X12. So it seems to be a thing with the AMD cards and the older Nvidia cards. The newest ones do not have this issue, apparently. Yeah. I mean, there's a drop in performance, but not into the 20s like the other cards. So maybe it's a thing related to that. I don't know. But good to see that this is not a... yeah, okay, never mind. Here we get 40s, and I look that way and get 30s. So yeah, definitely a water issue, but not as bad as before. So at least I'm glad about that. That is not as bad as on the AMD cards, that it dropped into the upper 20s. Yeah, still in the 30s. Yeah, Nvidia did not release drivers for this game yet, but I don't expect a huge difference, to be honest. It already runs fine. But yeah, the water is still a big hit. We get like, in this way we get 47, 48. Looking at water, we get, yeah, 33. Like a 14 FPS hit. So yeah, definitely there's something going on with the water, but not as bad in the newer cards. So yeah, let's lower the settings. Let's try to aim for 60. Dive into the water. Yeah, sure, let's do it. I have to flee from the police anyways. Yeah, in the water it's still the same. Into the 30s. So yeah. We're going to try 60 frames now. So we're going straight to the lowest settings. Oh, hang on. So low settings. Medium textures. And I'm going to change the status to low preset. Medium textures. Alright. So medium settings, medium textures, low settings. Let's go back into the game. Okay, it has to load. Come on game. Load your assets, please. Thank you. Okay, so the game loaded the assets, and when I'm into the water, it's into the 40s. And probably when I'm driving, it's going to be into the, what's the name of this? Into the 60s, when I'm away from the water. So again, this is faster than the AMD cards by a long shot. The AMD cards on low settings on the water was into the 30s. So there's definitely something going on with the water on the X12. Here the water looks like pudding. So in this angle the water looks super weird because there are no reflections. So yeah, it looks like just chocolate pudding, which is hilarious. But yeah, it happens on low settings when there are no reflections. Everything looks weird. So let's go to the driving. Let's see if we can get 60s on these settings at the very least. So yeah, water, 40 frames. Running should be 60s without a doubt. Yeah, 60 already when getting away from the water. But it's not fully utilizing the GPU. So probably I can use medium like on the 580. Yeah, I mean, as long as I'm away from the water, it's okay, I think. Although the Nvidia cards seem to be using more CPU. As you can see, when I look into the water, I get those drops into the 40s, into the 50s, not that bad. But then I look into the city itself, I start driving. And here I'm into the 50s to 60. Now we drop into the 40s, yes, CPU limited. So yeah, it seems that the Nvidia cards, even on DX12, are using more CPU than the AMD cards, which is weird. It's usually the other way around. I mean, as long as I was far away from the water, on the 580, I was getting closer to 60 on DX12. But when looking at water, the AMD cards suffered more than here. So yeah, I don't think he has problems based on brands. This is just a faster card. Well, I mean, but just pay attention. When I'm looking at water, it was significantly worse. But then when I do high resolutions, they are very close together. There's definitely something up. And it is a brand difference because AMD and Nvidia do rendering differently. They are completely different companies. What I'm noticing, though, depending on the brand here, is that the Nvidia cards, even on DX12, are using more CPU than the AMD cards this time around. And then on DX12, the Nvidia cards had less issues with the water than on the AMD cards. And on DX11, the Nvidia cards had more stutter than the AMD cards. So there's definitely differences between them. It's not just oh, this is a faster card. No, there's more to it. So let's try now DX11, because we tried DX11 on the AMD card as well. We're going to start with Ultra, then we're going to lower everything to low. Now let's start with very high like we did before. So let's keep it the same as always. So we're going to start with very high, medium textures. Let's see if we can maintain over 30 without stutter. Yeah, let's do it. So we stop to DX11, restart the game. So this will be very high preset, medium textures. And let's see if we can maintain a consistent frame time and a consistent frame rate as well. How would a 1660 Super perform? You should be able to get away with high settings 60 frames, as long as your CPU can handle it. And you're probably going to drop into the 40s when you're looking at water. But yeah, other than that, it should be fine on the 1660 Super. Yeah, the 1660 Super is a great card. Yeah, you also get more memory, so you can crank up those textures. So yeah, hang on a second, guys. I would say it's a combination of both. The game on DX12 definitely has something going on with the water and the reflections that kind of kills the frame rate for some reason. But then it depends on the hardware. Sometimes it's better than others. But I noticed that it was worse on the AMD cards and the older Nvidia GPUs. So yeah, it can vary quite a bit. But remember, the game releases tomorrow. Maybe they have a day one patch that I didn't get, or I don't know, maybe a driver update. So we're going to test that out later. Tomorrow I'll be doing another what's the name of this? Another marathon, trying to test all these GPUs again, but on separate videos instead of a live stream. So I can show you the water sections, the driving day and night. It will be interesting. So probably for Friday I'll have like 6 videos done for you to see this game on day one with the latest drivers, latest patch. But yeah, I mean, it should be basically the same as this. We're about to find out. But yeah, put the textures on Ultra? No, I won't. If I put textures on Ultra, I go over the VRAM limit, and this card does not have enough VRAM for Ultra textures. It would be stupid to do so. Well, as you can see now on the DX11, the CPU is maxed out, and we're getting very uneven frame times. And this is... which settings is this? This is... very high. Yeah, this is very high. Okay, on the DX11 I'm getting over 50 FPS on very high. We'll see once I start driving. But yeah, this is much better than the 580 if this is the case. Yeah, it's much faster than the 580 on this game. Because the 580 on Ultra was getting what, like over 30? Then very high was getting like 40s. And this is getting 50s, so pretty surprised, really. The thing is that this has more CPU usage, so the frame time is more unstable. As you can see when I'm driving, the CPU gets maxed out, just like on Watch Dogs 2. But here we got no water issues. As you can see, instead of the 30s and 40s, we're getting 50s when looking at water. But then when I'm driving around, the CPU gets maxed out, and we drop below 60 anyways, so that's the trade-off. You're getting more FPS on the DX11, but your CPU gets maxed out. So yeah, I mean, it's doing better than the 580, but it's getting worse frame times and more CPU usage. So yeah, I'm pretty surprised with this. The thing is, I would probably still use the DX12 on this one because of the stutter. As you can see, the frame times are unstable as heck. And the water issues on here are not as noticeable. So yeah, on this card I will probably use the DX12 just to be over the 30 FPS target and having good frame times without any stutter whatsoever, because the DX12 is so much more stable and uses less CPU. That's why the frame times are so much better on the DX12, uses less CPU. So yeah. Let's look at the water once more and swap to the DX12. Yeah, the thing with the DX11 on this card, on the Nvidia cards, is the frame times are terrible. As you can see, the frame times are just spiking. But there are no water issues. You're not dropping like 10 FPS by just looking at water. So yeah, on the Nvidia cards, just use the DX12. Do not complicate yourself, to say it in some way. I think that's a Spanish saying. Oh yeah, I'm not dropping 10 FPS by just looking down there. So yeah, let's just swap to the DX12 and restart the game. So DX12. Ahora es un test de este juego con la 1660 Super. No la tengo más la 1660 Super, así que por el momento no. Pero debería ser como 10 a 15 FPS más. Así que yo iría por alto y ya está. Iría bárbaro. Alright, so hopefully this is the last time I restart the game. But yeah, we're using the DX12 now. The DX12 on the Nvidia card is better because no stutter, basically. So yeah, we're using the very high preset, medium textures. This should be over 30 just fine. This is probably the settings that you want to use, because 60s is super difficult with this CPU. But you can do it if you want to. Use medium settings and it should be okay. Sí, el agua la verdad que no está muy buena. Yo le daré un poco más de trabajo, sí.
Hello, hello. Someone else slapped off work and now it's your turn.
Fine.
Alright. Yeah, this is definitely better than the 580 on the very high preset. The thing is that the 580 can do ultra preset, this one cannot because of the video memory. If you put the ultra preset on this card, you're going to get more stutter on the DX12, due to the video memory. But yeah, I mean the 580 won't get these frames on very high settings. So yeah, the limitation here for the 1650 Super is the video memory. So right now the settings I will use on this card are the very high preset medium textures, and aiming for 30 frames per second, because on the water it can get kinda bad. And as you can see, the frame times are not perfect. I forgot to disable the motion blur. Ugh, my bad. But as you can see, the frame times there, the frame times are more stable than on DX11. Much more stable, actually. So yeah. And remember to disable the motion blur, so you get a couple extra frames. But I would just lock it to 30, because when you look at water, you get like 30 FPS. Look away from the water, and you get upper 40s. So yeah, pretty crazy difference. Just lock it to something into the 30s if you're using the DX12 to avoid that water weird thing with the water. ¿Para cuándo la 3080? Cuando salga la 9090. Yeah, the 1650 Super surprised you? Well, yeah, I mean, considering how it ran on the other cards, I'm pretty surprised as well. I wish it had better performance on the X11, but in this time around on the X12 it should be the way to go. So yeah. Unfortunately, we cannot do 60 frames consistently. But this will be my best settings for this card. Anyways, he's down. Let's put low settings just to... Yeah, medium settings with medium textures. Just to show you something different, at least. So medium preset on medium with medium textures. No motion blur, thank you very much. Alright, so we're closer to 60 now, but the CPU is not enough for that. So thank you to the optimizing team that didn't do that. Oh, a non-lethal weapon I have, okay. There are non-lethal weapons. I'm such an evil person. Oh yeah, mix between medium or low settings would be my target for... would be my option to get closer to 60 if you wanted more than 30 frames per second. The thing is, when you get close to something like the water, it can get a little crazy on the frame rate side. As you can see, I drop into the 40s, into the 30s, better said. So yeah, as long as you're away from water, you're going to get 40 to 60. But yeah. I'll try low. Sí, Luis 5J7. Ahora me dan juegos a veces, más de lo normal, pero me da un poco de miedo ser honesto ahora. Pero lo estoy siendo. Porque ahora Ubisoft va a ver este video y va a decir, mirá todo lo que le tiró el juego. ¿Qué? No le damos más juegos. Y entonces está. Igual yo siempre los compro, así que no cambia nada. Pero sí, por suerte ahora tengo más acceso. GPU scheduling on or off. It's probably enabled as default, I think. But guys, let's try low settings, medium textures. Someone was speaking to me in Spanish saying, hey, you're now getting games from companies. Yes, I am. Which is very helpful, because now I'm able to access games before release sometimes. But I'm a little afraid because they're going to watch this video and see what I'm saying about their game. But I can't help it, I have to be honest. So yeah, probably they are going to watch this video and say, hey, no, do not give him any more review copies, he's being too honest. He's saying that the game doesn't run well. Well, it doesn't run well. He has problems. But yeah. What is your Ryzen 5 3600? It's in my streaming PC. is doing this live stream right now. Anyway, so yeah, maybe consider using low or medium if you want smoother than 30 frames, but not quite. You know, API issues. Let's do very quickly 900p. So we swap to 900p now. This would be 900p, low preset medium textures. Just to see if we can get 60s at least. Alright, we're not getting 60s, as you can see, but we're getting 50s at least. So yeah, you need a faster CPU for this, that's for sure. Oh, I forgot to adjust the frame rate counter. 1 second, guys. There we go. Yeah, the water tanks the frame rate, yeah, I know, but we cannot do much about it. That's why I'm trying the low preset on 900p. But yeah, anyways. Alright, so we're back into the game now. Let's get close to the water again to see if we can stay at least over 50 frames. Yeah, on low settings the game does not look pretty, but at least we got shadows. Yeah, we're still dropping into the 40s while looking at water, but then away from the water seems to be fine, into the 50s. So let's try a higher preset now. We're going to try, let's see if Ultra is enough for our, yeah, not enough memory still, so we gotta do very high with medium textures. So let's now do 900p on very high settings, but medium textures and no motion blur. I remember now. And yeah, still over 30. I mean, why would you aim for 60 if you can get better visuals at over 30? In this case, it's so unstable that I cannot recommend aiming for 60 this time around. I mean, just by looking at water, it breaks. This is DX12. This is DX12. DX11 stutters a lot on the Nvidia cards. In this one. Thank you for the card, police officer. But yeah, as long as you are far away from the water, you'll be getting good frame rates. The thing is, when you get close to it, it's going to be painful to say it in some way. All right. But yeah, the other Watch Dogs games also had issues, but that's no excuse for these numbers, I would say. I mean, if they fix the water issue, it will be a pass. A pass, I mean, on the performance. You can at least play it. But the water issue on the DX12, at least on the AMD cards, is super noticeable. I don't know how they didn't catch this in testing. Let's see, let's get into the water. Alright. Yeah, into the 30s, like expected. No big deal. Anyways. I don't know why the water is giving frame drops, but it probably has to do with the reflections, because sometimes in cars that are made completely of glass, or a lot of reflective surfaces, it also dropped my frame rates. So there's definitely something up with that. But yeah, 900p is okay. Let's try 1440p now, like I did on the on the 580. Let's be real here. We gotta do the cool comparison. So let me change the size of the overlay so you can see it. So 1440p now. The 580 was able to do very high at 30 frames, as far as I remember. So 1440p, very high, medium textures. Alright, it's into the 20s, not good at all. But that's only when looking at water. I mean, if I'm playing here, it's fine. But when I look at water, it drops into the 20s. So let's try going to the same place I was with the 580, which was the safe house. And there we are going to see for real if we can do it. We're going to try medium settings as well. Just be patient. But yeah, I gotta change the status to 1440p. Also, the 580 was on DX11, so that affects the numbers. Probably on DX11 this one is going to be almost the same. But due to the amount of stutters, I cannot recommend DX11 on this card. It uses so much CPU. I mean, it doesn't make sense to use DX11 with NVIDIA cards. Alright, here drops into the 20s. And I go outside. Okay. Still dropping. Let's try medium settings. So medium settings, medium textures. And we change the status to medium. Medium preset, medium textures. And no motion blur, thank you. Okay. Medium preset seems to be fine. I think I was limited by the video memory. Yeah. Probably was being limited by video memory, so you can probably still do a very high settings. Yeah, the thing is that now it's raining. So yeah, we're going to need, if we do very high, you probably need to lower a little bit of the shadows and the reflections to high, and that should be enough for 30 frames. Yeah, I was right. So this is very high preset with medium textures plus high ref and shadows. So as long as you do this, it should be enough for 30 frames. So very high preset, medium textures, high reflections, high shadows at 1440p, and it should be enough for over 30 frames per second. Now that it's raining, there are even more reflections, so it should be more taxing. Let's go to the water now. But yeah, this should be similar to the 1060. For the people that were asking, yeah, this should be similar to what you get on a 1060. The 1060 should be able to do better due to the video memory. So yeah, it shouldn't be that different. Yeah, when driving around, when looking at water, it's still dropping to the 20s. Also, I'm using motion blur. I forgot to turn it off again. Let's disable it. Alright, much better. Yeah, I'm not sure why the motion blur affects the performance so much. Yeah, and the water is still a problem. On the DX11, the water issue would be gone, but we'll be getting so much stutter. High reflections, high shadows. Oh, hi Mark. Yeah, basically. Yeah, no. Yeah, one thing that I'll do, guys, I'm going to try DX11 for one last time to see if we can get at least consistent 30 frames, just to compare it to the 580. And after that, I'm not sure if I'll do 1800p. I don't think it's worth it. I'm already suffering at 1440p. So yeah, the video memory doesn't help at all. The video memory is holding us back big time. I think this is why the 580 is doing better at higher resolutions. We have a lot of video memory on that one. On this one we only have 4 gigabytes. So that would be why. ¿Por qué será que este juego me recuerda a Watch Dogs 1? Y porque dice Watch Dogs en el título. Alright. So I'm going to test this and then we'll see what we do. What CPU are you using? I'm using a Ryzen 3 3100. You can see that in the description. Y yo esperaría, Leonel, si puedes esperar, espera. O sea, van a salir cosas nuevas. Dentro de muy poco las consolas y todo nuevo. Yo esperaría. A menos que se te dispare mucho el dólar, ahí ves, pero... Ryzen 3 3100, yeah, 4 Cortex threads. That's true. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you. Yeah, I think that the game needs to be worked on, especially for those water problems on the X12. But you can get a playable experience if you know what to tweak, at least. But on Nvidia cards, I cannot recommend the X11.
Could use your abilities now.
Grand.
As you can see, as I said a second ago, well, on the X12, in this part I was dropping below 30, especially when looking at water and driving around. On the X11 we don't have that problem, but at the same time we get so much stutter that it's not even worth using the X11. Just look at that CPU usage. It's almost maxed out. And we get a lot of stutter, so the game feels very inconsistent. So yeah, we don't get the water issues, so we stay over 30 frames here. But the stutter is so noticeable that makes no sense. You get an extra performance boost, yeah, on the X11. But I mean, if you don't have a good enough CPU to take advantage of that, it's going to be worse. Because the frame time is very inconsistent, as you can see. I mean, just look at that edgy frame time. So edgy. Yeah, it takes forever to load and it's installed on an SSD. But usually the first load takes a lot of time. The first time you load it on a new graphics card. Then it's pretty quick, so no worries. But yeah, just do not use the X11. Yeah, you'll be getting better performance with a Ryzen 5 3500X, yeah, for sure. Especially on the X11. But yeah, guys, that's all I have to show you today. Thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. Thanks to Ubisoft for providing a copy of the game, despite what I said about the game. But yeah, thank you so much. And thank you guys for sticking around and watching this live stream and helping me play this game. I hope you had a good time. Tomorrow Watch Dogs Legion is releasing, so if you're interested, check it out. I'm going to be doing videos tomorrow and on Friday with the day one patch and the latest drivers, so you see if there's still water issues or not. But yeah, this is how it is at the moment, so thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye guys, see ya, bye bye. I'm super tired, yeah, I am.